factorize 4x squared minus 12x plus 9, comma, hence solve the equation 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. So this is a quadratic equation that is in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And of course, the coefficient of x squared is 4, which is now equivalent to a. And the coefficient of x is 12, which is now equivalent to b. And 9 will serve as our constant in this case. So this is a quadratic equation that has 3 terms. That's the first term, the second term, and the third term. And a quadratic equation that has 3 terms can get solved, or even 2 terms rather, by using a method called the completing square method, the quadratic formula, or the factorization method. So in this case, you've been told to use the factorization method. We've been told to factorize, hence solve, or find an answer to this equation. So we shall now be able to proceed. We have 4x squared minus 12x plus 9. So we need to use the factors. We need to actually factorize and be able to get the answer to this. How do we even proceed using the factorization method? Come here and write down the sum and the product. Our sum is b and our product is a times c. So the first step of solving this quadratic equation is to get the sum of this quadratic equation and get the product of this quadratic equation. What is the sum? B. In that case, I told you a quadratic equation in most cases will be able to have 3 terms. This is the first term, ax squared. The second term, bx, and the last term, c, or the constant. This is the first term, the second term, and c, the last term, or the third term. So our sum is b and our product is a times c. So in this case, what is our b? What corresponds to b in this equation? Negative 12 will actually serve as our b. So negative 12, because the coefficient of x is b. So that means negative 12, the coefficient of x will serve as our b. Our product, we've said, you say a times c. So our a is 4, that is the coefficient of x squared, and our c is our constant, which is 9, 4 times 9. So that now our sum, students, is going to be negative 12, and our product is going to be 36. So you're supposed to look for 2 numbers. When you add them, you get 12 as a negative number. And when you get the product of those 2 numbers, the answer must be 36. And in most cases, I will advise you this. If you're looking for these numbers, don't bother so much about the sum, because getting a sum of negative 12 can involve a list of so many pairs of numbers getting added together, or their sum getting obtained. So focus more on the product. So we shall come here and say, which numbers do you get when you actually end up having a product of 36 getting written down? So we shall have these pairs. We shall have 6 by 6. That can give us 36. So forget about the sum, focus on the product. You're looking for any 2 numbers. When you multiply, you get 36. So 6 times 6, then you have 9 times 4. Then you'll also have 12 times 3. You can also take 36 and 1. So 6 times 3 is 36, 9 times 4, 36, 12 times 3, 36, 36 times 1, 36. Now you start now eliminating the ones you think they can even give you a sum of negative 12. Or just even 12 for that matter. Forget about even the negative. 6 and 6, you can add them and get 12. And there's a way in which you can be able to get a negative 12 as an answer in terms of the summation. But there's no way in which 9 and 4, even if one of them becomes negative, all of them become negative, will end up actually giving us a sum of 12. So we shall just eliminate that. 12 and 3, they cannot give us a sum of negative 12, or even just 12 itself. So we remove that. Even if you make them negative, or one of them becomes negative, whichever you may want actually to have a negative getting put on it, they will not even end up giving you a negative. There's no way in which 36 and 1 can even get added to give us a sum of 12. So you're left with what? 6 and 6. Yes, 6 and 6, when you multiply, you get 36, but 6 plus 6 is not negative 12. So you have to ask yourself, which ones will become negative or which number becomes negative? You can try putting a negative on one. You can put here negative. Just a matter of what we call try and error. So negative 6, then we need to come here and say, it is true 6 times 6 is 36. That is very correct. But 6 plus 6 cannot give us 12 as a negative answer that we are supposed to have. So the product is actually accepting. It has accepted because of what we have here as the remaining digit. So let's just remove this negative first. So our pair is 6 and 6. So when you multiply them, you get 36. So 6 times 6, 36, that has actually accepted. But now 6 plus 6 is not negative 12, which is now the sum. So you can try having one negative number. So negative 6 plus 6, that is 0. And if they're all negative, negative 6 plus negative 6, negative 2, that's correct. So the numbers are negative and negative 6, and that's correct. Negative 6 plus negative 6, negative 12. Then negative 6 times negative 6, it will give you positive 36 or just 36. So that has ended up becoming the pair of numbers you need to have. So we'll proceed now. Let's come back here. 4x squared. Instead of writing negative 12, we shall substitute by these two digits for us to get negative 12 as the sum, students. So minus 6x, then minus again 6x, because they're all minuses or they're all negatives, then plus 9. Common divisor, 2x. So common divisor of 4 and 6 is 2, x squared and x is x. So 2 into 4, that is 2, x into x squared, that is x, minus 2 into 6, 3, x and x will disappear. You close the bracket, minus. Common divisor of 6 and 9, that is 3 into 3 into 6, that is 2, remainder x. Then 3 into 9, that will be minus 3. The first one and the second one must be the same. So even if there's a positive here, this one must be just negative for them to be the same. And that's why negative and negative will become what? Positive when you're opening the brackets. So then finally, you can have this. I can have now 2x minus 3. That is this one and this. The ones that are actually outside. So 2x minus 3. Then these are the same, just pick one. 2x minus 3. This can be referred to as a perfect square, where the parts forming that answer, or the parts forming the factors, or the parts forming the expression that can give us that quadratic expression are just the same. So we want to get the answer to this, you can just equate 1 to 0. So 2x minus 3 just say is equals to 0. So take 3 on this other side. So it will be 2x is equals to 3. Divide by 2, divide by 2. So that means x is 3 over 2. And of course, the other will just be the same. Again, x is equals to 3 over 2. And that's what you're supposed to give us your answer in terms of that question.